The Sigma female is not the type to follow trends or depend on others for identity. She is independent, thoughtful, and moves through life with quiet determination. She doesn't seek attention, and she rarely asks for help. She relies on her own instincts, her own rhythm, and her own standards. But even someone this strong and self-directed doesn't escape life's hardest lessons. For the Sigma female, the lessons of life often arrive later, not because she's unaware, but because she believes she can handle everything alone. She learns by doing, not by watching. She gives too much, forgives too easily, and expects others to live by the same standards she holds herself to. When they don't, she doesn't complain. She simply endures until endurance becomes exhaustion. These lessons don't come through failure or weakness. They come through experience, the quiet kind that changes how you think and who you trust. Each disappointment, each moment of silence after being misunderstood, and each betrayal she never saw coming shapes her understanding of the world. She learns that strength without boundaries can become self-destruction. She learns that independence doesn't mean isolation. She learns that loving deeply requires wisdom as much as heart. This video explores the 10 most powerful lessons that Sigma females often learn too late in life. Lessons about value, balance, trust, and self-respect. They come late, but they come exactly when they're needed. Let's begin with the first one. The lesson that changes everything about how a Sigma female sees herself. Lesson number 1. You discover your value only after giving too much away. In her early years, the Sigma female often gives without hesitation. She's dependable, loyal, and generous with her time and energy. She listens when others need comfort, helps without being asked, and takes on burdens that aren't hers to carry. She believes that kindness and effort will be returned in kind. But life eventually teaches her that not everyone gives the way she does. At first, she doesn't notice the imbalance. She keeps showing up, offering help, supporting, and solving problems. Then, one day, she realizes she's tired, not just physically, but emotionally. Her patience feels thin. Her kindness feels taken for granted. She looks around and sees that while she's been building everyone else up, no one was building her. That's when the truth hits her. She's been giving her energy to people who were only taking. It's not that they were cruel. They were simply comfortable letting her carry the weight. This lesson hurts because it reveals how easily the world mistakes giving for availability. The Sigma female learns, often too late, that her worth isn't defined by what she gives others, but by what she preserves for herself. She realizes that being needed isn't the same as being valued. That shift changes everything. She starts setting limits. She stops explaining her boundaries. She begins to measure relationships by mutual respect, not convenience. Her kindness doesn't fade, but it gains structure. She learns that not everyone deserves her effort, and that saving her energy for the right people is a form of self-respect. When this lesson sinks in, she becomes more powerful than ever before. She no longer gives out of habit, she gives with purpose. And that difference protects her peace for life. Lesson number 2. You realize that someone else's definition of success won't serve you. The Sigma female grows up surrounded by messages about what success should look like: money, status, appearance, approval. For a while, she believes in that image. She studies hard, works hard, and chases the achievements society says matter. She collects wins, builds a career, maybe even earns admiration. But inside, she feels empty. Something about it doesn't feel like hers. It takes time, sometimes years, before she recognizes the pattern. She's achieved what others wanted, but she's not fulfilled. Her motivation feels forced. The spark that drives her doesn't come from external rewards, it comes from purpose. She realizes that she's been living by someone else's definition of success, and it's draining her spirit. This lesson hits hard because it shatters the illusion that accomplishment equals happiness. The Sigma female begins to understand that true success is deeply personal. For her, it's not about comparison, it's about alignment. It's about waking up and feeling peace, not pressure. She stops chasing what looks good and starts building what feels right. She might leave a career that pays well but costs her sanity. She might end relationships that don't nurture growth. She might start over in ways that others don't understand. But for the first time, she's living by her own design. Her idea of success shifts. It becomes about autonomy, integrity, and emotional freedom. It's about creating a life she doesn't need a vacation from. Once she understands that, she never again measures her worth by other people's yardsticks. The Sigma female learns that success without inner peace isn't success at all. It's a mask. When she removes it, she steps into a version of herself that's real, fulfilled, and free. Lesson number 3. You learn that relationships require vulnerability, even for someone independent. For much of her life, the Sigma female wears her independence like armor. She takes pride in standing on her own. She solves her problems quietly and rarely shows weakness. To her, strength means control. Keeping her emotions contained, keeping her distance when needed, and never needing to rely on anyone else. But at some point, she realizes that while her independence has protected her, it has also isolated her. The relationships around her feel one-sided, surface level, or temporary. She's strong, but she's also lonely. That's when she begins to understand that true connection isn't built on perfection, it's built on vulnerability. She learns this lesson through experience. Maybe it's a friendship that fades because she never opened up, or a partner who feels she's emotionally unavailable. She sees that people can't love what they can't reach. And even though she's capable of deep loyalty and affection, she's been guarding her heart so tightly that few ever get to see it. Eventually, she lets the walls lower, slowly, carefully, but intentionally. She learns that showing emotion doesn't make her weak, it makes her real. Vulnerability allows her to be seen, not just admired from a distance. The Sigma female realizes that independence and openness can exist together. She can remain strong while still allowing others to care for her. She doesn't lose herself by trusting, she expands herself by connecting. This lesson often comes late, but once she learns it, her relationships transform from guarded to genuine, and her heart finally feels at home. Lesson number 4. You understand that setting boundaries isn't optional, it's essential. Because the Sigma female is naturally generous and capable, people often rely on her. She's the one who listens, who fixes, who shows up when no one else does. For years, she handles everything herself. Until one day, she realizes she's running on empty. She's helped everyone else, but somewhere along the way, she's neglected herself. The people around her have grown comfortable with her strength, sometimes too comfortable. They have stopped noticing her effort because she never complains. But exhaustion has a way of forcing truth to the surface. The Sigma female learns, often painfully, that boundaries are not a luxury. They're survival. Without them, she burns out. She begins to understand that saying no doesn't make her selfish. It makes her self-aware. Protecting her time, her peace, and her energy is an act of respect toward herself. This lesson usually comes after a period of overcommitment, when she's stretched too thin, emotionally or physically. She realizes that no one else will protect her peace if she doesn't. From that point on, her boundaries become clear and firm. She doesn't explain them. She simply lives by them. The world may not understand her shift at first. Some people may even call her distant or difficult. But she knows the truth. Her boundaries don't push people away. They filter out those who only take. The Sigma female learns that peace of mind is priceless, and protecting it is her greatest act of self-care. Lesson number 5. You come to see that solitude is a gift. But isolation is a trap. The Sigma female thrives in solitude. She doesn't fear being alone, she enjoys it. Time by herself brings clarity, focus, and calm. She thinks deeply, dreams freely, and resets in silence. But over the years, she learns that too much isolation can quietly turn from peace into distance, not just from people, but from emotion and connection. She realizes that solitude and isolation look similar, but they feel very different. Solitude restores, isolation drains. Solitude gives her power, isolation leaves her detached. The line between the two is subtle, and she doesn't always notice when she crosses it. Maybe she pulls back after being hurt or disappointed. Maybe she decides it's easier to stay alone than to risk being misunderstood again. At first, the quiet feels comforting, but after a while it starts to feel heavy. She begins to miss something she can't name: laughter, warmth, conversation. That's when she recognizes that even the most self-sufficient person needs human connection. The Sigma female learns that independence shouldn't come at the cost of intimacy. She can enjoy her own company and still allow others to be part of her world. True balance means knowing when to retreat and when to reach out. This lesson changes how she moves through life. She doesn't isolate out of fear anymore. She embraces solitude as a tool for healing, not hiding. And in doing so, she discovers that connection, when chosen wisely, can strengthen her independence rather than weaken it. Lesson number 6. You recognize that change is the only constant and resisting it costs you. The Sigma female is known for her control, her independence, and her focus. She likes to move at her own pace, on her own terms. But sometimes that same strength makes her resistant to change. She builds routines that feel safe. She stays in jobs, friendships, or situations longer than she should, because stability feels like peace. But life always finds a way to remind her that nothing stays the same. She learns this lesson when something she thought was certain begins to fall apart. A relationship ends, a career path shifts, or a dream no longer fits who she's becoming. At first, she fights it. She tries to hold everything together. But over time, she realizes that change isn't punishment, it's direction. It's life's way of moving her where she's meant to go next. The Sigma female learns that resisting change only creates frustration. Accepting it opens the door to growth. Once she embraces it, she starts to see beauty in uncertainty. She understands that every chapter, even the painful ones, teaches her something she couldn't have learned otherwise. Change stops being a threat and becomes a teacher. She begins to flow with life instead of against it. She learns that letting go isn't failure, it's freedom. The things she loses make room for better things ahead. And when she looks back, she always sees that change, though hard, was the turning point that made her stronger and more grounded than ever before. Lesson number 7. You find that leadership doesn't always mean visibility or hierarchy. For a long time, the Sigma female may believe leadership looks a certain way: loud voices, constant attention, being at the front of every room. She might think she doesn't fit that mold because she prefers quiet influence over public dominance. But later in life, she realizes that true leadership has nothing to do with position or spotlight. She learns that leading can mean guiding others through example, not instruction. It can mean being the calm presence in chaos, or the silent problem solver who brings stability when everyone else is overwhelmed. Leadership to her is integrity in motion. It's the ability to stand alone in truth when it would be easier to follow the crowd. The Sigma female discovers that power doesn't have to shout. It can whisper and still be heard. People respect her not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. She influences without trying to control, inspires without seeking credit, and teaches without needing recognition. This lesson often comes after years of working quietly behind the scenes, watching others get noticed for louder efforts. Eventually, she stops caring about visibility. She focuses instead on impact. Her strength lies in consistency, not performance. When she finally understands that, she stops chasing validation and starts owning her quiet authority. She becomes the kind of leader people follow not because they have to, but because they want to. Lesson number 8. You accept that asking for help doesn't equal weakness. For most of her life, the Sigma female prides herself on self-sufficiency. She's the one others lean on, the one who fixes, supports, and carries. But when the time comes for her to ask for help, she hesitates. It feels unnatural. She doesn't want to seem incapable or dependent. So she keeps her struggles hidden, carrying more than anyone realizes. Over time, though, she begins to see the cost of doing everything alone. Her silence turns heavy. Her energy fades. And when she finally breaks down, she realizes something she wishes she had learned sooner. Needing help doesn't make her weak. It makes her human. The Sigma female learns that vulnerability and strength are not opposites. They work together. Letting someone help doesn't mean losing control. It means trusting enough to share the load. She sees that people who care about her want to show up for her just as she's shown up for them. This lesson transforms her understanding of connection. She begins to allow others in, not because she needs rescuing, but because shared strength is more powerful than solitary endurance. Once she lets go of the belief that independence means isolation, her life becomes lighter. She learns that leaning on others doesn't take away from her power, it multiplies it. The Sigma female realizes that real strength isn't in never falling, it's in allowing others to help her rise again. Lesson number 9. You see that loyalty must flow in both directions. One of the strongest qualities of the Sigma female is loyalty. When she believes in someone or something, she gives her full commitment. She stands by people through difficult times, defends them when they're not around, and supports them without expecting attention or reward. But this devotion sometimes becomes her weakness. She learns, often through pain, that loyalty without balance leads to disappointment. She realizes that not everyone she stands by will stand by her. Some people take her consistency for granted, assuming she'll always be there, no matter how they treat her. And because she values commitment, she holds on longer than she should. It takes several betrayals, letdowns, or moments of silence when she needed support to see the truth. Loyalty only has value when it's mutual. When she's the only one giving, it's not loyalty, it's self-neglect. Once this lesson settles in, she begins to choose her loyalty more carefully. She no longer gives it out of obligation, nostalgia. She gives it where it's earned and where it's respected. She doesn't abandon people easily, but she also doesn't stay where she's unappreciated. This change doesn't harden her, it refines her. She learns that real loyalty uplifts, protects, and restores energy on both sides. Anything less is simply one-sided devotion, and she's no longer willing to live that way. When the Sigma female learns this lesson, she stops pouring into half-hearted relationships and starts building bonds that truly last. Lesson number 10. You learn the journey never ends. Growth is a lifelong path. There comes a moment when the Sigma female looks back and realizes how far she's come, how much she's survived, learned, and evolved. She's proud of the woman she's become, but she also starts to notice something deeper. Growth doesn't have a finish line. It's not something you reach once and keep forever. It's a process that continues as long as life does. In her younger years, she may have believed that once she found peace, success, or clarity, the work was done. But time teaches her otherwise. Every stage of life brings new challenges, new emotions, and new opportunities to grow. She learns that becoming self-aware isn't the end. It's the beginning of continual transformation. This understanding brings both humility and freedom. She no longer pressures herself to have everything figured out. She allows herself to evolve without guilt, to let go of old versions of herself without regret. She embraces change as part of her identity rather than a disruption to it. The Sigma female realizes that her strength lies not in being perfect, but in being adaptable. She keeps learning, unlearning, and growing. She becomes the kind of woman who seeks truth over comfort, purpose over approval, and authenticity over appearance. When she learns this final lesson, she stops chasing completion. She accepts that life's beauty lies in progress, not perfection. Every mistake, every new beginning, every moment of courage adds another layer to her wisdom, and she wouldn't trade that evolution for anything. The Sigma female's journey is one of quiet discovery. She doesn't seek to impress, but to understand. She doesn't fight for power, she cultivates it within herself. Her path isn't about being untouchable, it's about becoming unshakable. Each of these 10 lessons often comes late, but never too late. They teach her to value herself, to protect her peace, and to open her heart without losing her strength. She learns that independence doesn't mean isolation, that kindness needs boundaries, and that growth is endless. By the time she masters these truths, she's transformed. She's no longer defined by what the world expects of her, but by what she expects of herself. She's softer, wiser, and more powerful than ever. Not because she never broke, but because she rebuilt herself every time she did. For every Sigma female listening, remember this: you're not late. You're right on time for the lessons that will shape the woman you were always meant to be. Keep growing, keep protecting your peace, and never stop walking your own path, even when it takes you the long way around.